The other day, I shared a testimony on Instagram about me selling my second house. Um, Side note, at one point, I was vigorously pursuing being a real estate investor. And 7 years ago, I bought my first property and I renovated that property. I love that house. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. But a couple years back, the Holy Spirit put it on me to sell the house. So I went back and forth for a long time as to like, why would God tell me to sell this house and move into an apartment when my rent would be double than what my mortgage was? But it was all a lesson in obedience. So fast forward to now, I recently just sold an investment property that I had. And the investment property was truly an investment property. It was in my business name and it was for the purpose of renting it out. And I sold that also by the leading of the Holy Spirit. But of course, when you post about stuff like this, people make assumptions. So since I've been talking about like my real estate journey, people have been reaching out like in my DMs asking like, how did you do it? What made you do it? Did you have a mentor? Why did you sell? You had two houses. Why would you sell your houses? These are long-term investments. Just the whole range of comments, but mostly, why did you sell? Why would you sell? And I was just sitting here thinking, like, it's funny how God changes your life and changes your mind about things that you thought like were once valid. Once upon a time, I was literally just trying to buy as many properties as possible because I realized that a lot of people got their wealth from real estate. So I'm like, well, I can buy houses too. So I'm gonna buy some houses. I didn't factor in God though, because I was pursuing real estate more than I was pursuing God. I was pursuing wealth more than I was pursuing God. I had my own internal goals of like, I want to make this amount by this age. I want to have this amount saved. I want to be able to buy this type of car. Like I had very, very materialistic goals that were not fulfilling. I started a business. It was not fulfilling. I stopped doing the business. I did all this real estate stuff. It was not fulfilling. And I didn't realize why it wasn't fulfilling until I really started seeking God. And when I really started pursuing God, I realized that all of these things that I had built they weren't built on any type of solid foundation. They weren't built on Christ. They were built on greed. They were built on being worldly. They were built on being a girl boss. They were built on like stuff that is like childish, in all honesty. And it's not stuff that I can take with me at the end of my life. So I didn't find fulfillment in any of those things because it wasn't built on anything that's fulfilling. I said all that to say, don't be afraid to start all the way over. Because when I look back at my life just the past 2 years, I've started all the way over. And I was like, I have to scrap everything that I was doing before I really gave my life to Christ. Like, everything needs to just be thrown away. I don't care if it's a house. I don't care if it's a car. I don't care if it's a relationship. I'm gonna throw it away. Once I realized that I was holding on to things that God didn't ask me to hold on to, nor was God necessarily pushing me to get these things. These were my own selfish ambitions. It made it much easier for me to give up things that were actually causing me stress. When you think about it, a lot of these things are very stressful. So even I've been telling people, like, if you're not ready to pay for a roof and like to replace your HVAC system, don't buy a house. Like, everyone that I know that has bought a house, now I'm not wishing this on anybody, but the houses that I bought, major things broke down in the first few months of owning the houses. And unless you are buying a brand new build, when you buy these old houses, things are going to happen. No matter if you have an inspection, no matter if you have a contractor, any of these things they're meant to happen. And I realized that I didn't have a solid foundation because I literally was dipping into my savings and emptying out my savings just to maintain these houses. God changed completely like how I look at even my money and my finances. And although I still have debt, I'm definitely on a journey of being debt free, because I experienced firsthand how it really does feel like you're a slave to the lender when you borrow money from someone else. So I just want, I'm a testimony for myself as well. But don't be afraid to start over. Like, no matter what that looks like, no matter how crazy it looks like, you may get a lot of questions about it. I've been getting questions about it. I enjoy answering the questions, because I've been telling people, like, well, if you're gonna do it, don't do it like me. Do it in a better way. Create whatever business, real estate and venture that you're doing. Create it on a solid foundation, which is Christ. So be led by him in anything that you're doing. If you're not led by him to do these things, don't do it, because I can guarantee it's not gonna be worth the stress. It's not gonna be worth the sleepless nights. None of these things that we gain outside of Christ are actually worth it. So don't be afraid to start over. It's so freeing that none of these things that I purchased were permanent. Like, I got a revelation very quickly about how easy it is to just sell things that are not in alignment with the will that God has for your life. And although I don't have any houses now and I live in an apartment, the peace that I have is different than I had in the past, probably 5 to 10 years, in all honesty. So I'm all for pursuing peace over anything. It may look good, but people don't know what you have to experience to maintain all of these things. So keep that in mind.